The court heard that on the 26th of February 2015, Fortunate and her husband Mutasa were in bed at about 7 p.m. when Mutasa received a text message. Fortunate demanded to read the text message from her husband's phone, but the husband refused. This angered Fortunate, and she started fighting her husband. Her husband is said to have assaulted her indiscriminately, and I'm sure she felt defeated, so she dashed out of the bedroom and went to the kitchen. She came back armed with 3 kitchen knives. She used the knives to stab her husband. When the neighbors heard Mutasa screaming, they came over and they saw him in a pool of blood. They called the police, who then arrested Fortunate. Mutasa was declared dead, and a post-mortem showed that he indeed had died from the stab wounds that he got from the stabbing from his wife. Hello guys, welcome to yet another edition of Real Crimes with me. So in this channel, like I always say, if you are new, please don't forget to subscribe, as well as to like, to comment, and to share. If you're an old subscriber, welcome back and thank you for joining me yet again. So just to file a disclaimer, everything that I talk about in this channel is already in the public domain. I love telling stories, but I definitely don't make them up. I just read and I create videos from that. I do not make up the stories that I tell you guys. These are stories that are already in the public domain. Okay, so don't come for me and start telling me that, oh, you lied about this or you lied about that, because like I'm saying, I don't make up these things. I just get what's in the public domain, and I read from different sources. Actually, I read from different sources before I actually come up with a video. And yeah, I do not make up these stories. I report on what's already in the public domain. Let's put that aside. So in today's story, we are going to talk about a very sad story, but also it is a crime that was committed. So I think, I'm not sure if you guys remember, or if some of you were already on social media in the year 2015, when one day we woke up to a video of a woman in a pink top. And she was being accused, the caption rather, of that picture was that a nurse had killed her husband. Something along those lines, along the lines of a nurse had killed her husband because he was cheating, something along those lines. Yeah, so that's the story I want to talk about. I want to go deeper into it. I want us to kind of just dissect the whole thing and understand what exactly happened and how it ended. So the woman in the picture in the pink top, her name is Fortunate Nsoro, N-S-O-R-O, and her husband was Mutasa. So Fortunate, I'm going to call her Fortunate, and I'm going to call him Mutasa. So Fortunate is said to have grown up in Harare. She was born and raised in Harare in the high-density suburb of Mufakose, and she was said to be a very athletic woman who was really good with throwing the discus. So she was like basically a sports person. She was very cheerful, according to her colleagues. She was she grew up a very cheerful person, rather, according to her sister. So her sister said that Fortunate got married and the marriage did not work out. So she actually then got a divorce and she married Mutasa as her second husband, or that was like her second marriage. So according to her sister, Fortunate and her husband Mutasa had a good relationship, and they were married for a good 10 years. So everything was okay until some time in 2015, 2014. Fortunate started complaining to her sister that her husband was having extramarital affairs and it was causing problems and tension in their marriage. So they were constantly fighting over his alleged extramarital affairs. Okay, and the sister said that she always encouraged her sister to pray. She always encouraged Fortunate to pray and to also seek counseling. So she actually got counseling from some people at the Catholic Church where she was attending. And it is said that the extramarital affairs and the problems in her marriage became so bad for her that she attempted taking her own life 2 times. The first time she took some malaria medication, an overdose of that, and she was saved by somebody who rushed her to the hospital, and she got fine. She recovered from that. But while she was recovering, she also attempted to drown herself in a river, and then a passerby, a cyclist, bumped her to save her. So she was trying to take her own life because, according to her sister, she was under pressure because she believed that she could not have a divorce again because her parents had not raised her that way. They had raised them to persevere. They had raised them to believe that family unity is important. So she couldn't face the shame. I don't know if it's shame, really. Getting a divorce, I don't know if we should call it shame, but she just couldn't face it. Like she was under pressure and she thought of taking her own life, but she didn't end up doing it. So for some time, she was described as being a victim in her own marriage, but it didn't end like that. Her husband ended up being a victim. So anyway, Fortunate and Mutasa was actually in his 4th marriage. This was his 4th marriage. He already had 3 divorces to his name, and this was his 4th marriage. And he was also determined to make it work. She was determined to make it work, but they obviously had problems. And it looked like Fortunate's sister said she even spoke to Mutasa and asked him to address the issues with Fortunate, but Fortunate's husband probably did not, or if he did, they couldn't resolve them. I don't know. But anyway, the problems of their marriage probably are what led to what happened in February of 2016. The court heard that on the 26th of February 2015, Fortunate and her husband Mutasa were in bed at about 7 p.m. when Mutasa received a text message. Fortunate demanded to read the text message from her husband's phone, but the husband refused. This angered Fortunate, and she started fighting her husband. Her husband is said to have assaulted her indiscriminately, and I'm sure she felt defeated, so she dashed out of the bedroom and went to the kitchen. She came back armed with 3 kitchen knives. She used the knives to stab her husband. When the neighbors heard Mutasa screaming, they came over and they saw him in a pool of blood. They called the police, who then arrested Fortunate. Mutasa was declared dead, and a post-mortem showed that he indeed had died from the stab wounds that he got from the stabbing from his wife. So, yeah, we woke up to the news that there was a nurse who had killed her husband, and her photo was circulating all over social media. To be very honest, when I saw that, I thought, okay, it's one of those funny stories, not funny, but one of those fake stories, you know. I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. But anyway, as we went on, as the days progressed, a bit of light started being shed towards what was happening, towards why she allegedly killed her husband. Okay, so like I said, it was over a text. Now, the text message is, there's a lot of questions about the text message because nobody knows the text message. She didn't get to see it. Her husband did not show her the text message. So I don't understand, I don't know why she had to lose it to the extent of them then fighting, because she didn't even know the contents of the text, right? She didn't know the contents of the text. So anyway, Fortunate was arrested, and Mutasa was buried in his rural home in Chiwota. And according to family, Fortunate was a very loving woman. She was a mother. So it turns out that Mutasa was actually the firstborn in his family, and there were 9 people in his family, 9 children in his family. He was the firstborn, and his wife Fortunate was viewed as the mother of the family. She was that loving. They all viewed her as a motherly figure. And also her stepchildren, that is her children, the children that her husband had with those other wives, they also loved her. Like one of them actually said that one daughter, actually she was 31 by that time, she actually said that Fortunate was like a mother to her and an advisor. Whenever she had problems in her own marriage, she would come to her stepmother for guidance, and she would always give her sound advice. She never thought she had that side. She never thought she could actually be violent. She said she never saw the violent side of her mother. She was always a loving person who always tried to resolve issues peacefully. She said, obviously, like any marriage, her father and her stepmother had their own problems, but her father was a peace-loving person, and Fortunate was also a very peaceful person who was also very loving, so they would always resolve their problems amicably and peacefully. So she was actually shocked that her stepmother had gone as far as stabbing her father to death. However, Mutasa's son had a different story to tell. He said Fortunate had always been temperamental. He said that whenever they had problems, whenever there was a misunderstanding between the two of them, he would punish her in a bad way. He actually cited one example where he had lended something to the neighbors, but Fortunate was not happy about it. So when he was trying to explain that the neighbors had asked for that cut, Fortunate was angry. She picked up a mirror and threw it in his direction, and he tried to turn away, and his back got cut. He said he actually had like a scar from that incident. Okay, obviously I didn't see the scar. I don't know if other people saw the scar, but that was his version. So he actually had a different version. He actually had a different, he knew that side of Fortunate, that side that his sister did not know. And also the mother-in-law, Gogo Mutasa, that is Mutasa's mom. Gogo Mutasa was 71 by the time his son died. His son was 51, by the way. So she said she was actually shook. Like she was shocked that Fortunate would do something like that. She knew they had problems, but it was nothing big. And she was actually surprised that Fortunate killed her own husband, because she also regarded her as a mother. She said she took good care of her, and she took care of the family. She took care of Mutasa's children from his previous marriages. So she didn't see that coming. She never thought Fortunate would have that side to her. Then my question comes in is, did she have that side to her, or was it in the heat of the moment? Gogo Mutasa said she doesn't even know what spirits possessed Fortunate for her to actually go to the extent of killing her own husband using 3 different knives. She couldn't comprehend it. Most people actually in their neighborhood could not comprehend it. Even her own colleagues from work, they could not reconcile the fortunate that they knew and the fortunate who was being accused of killing her own husband. So it turns out that she was actually a nurse at Michael Gilfand clinic. So some of the nurses that were interviewed there, they said that she was always happy. She was always chatty. She was a bubbly person. She never showed that she was in distress. She never showed that she had problems at home. They said that there was only one time that she told them that she was having problems with her stepson, and they canceled her, and she said everything was fine now. They didn't even pick that she was having marital problems. They only thought she had a problem, one incident with her stepson that was resolved. So, is it possible that fortunate actually has two sides? Or is it something just triggered? Or is it that she had been piling up things and then one day she just burst? Comment down below what you think. What do you think? But anyway, let's continue. So, Mutasa was buried in Chihota, his rural home, and his family said that they were in good books with Fortunate's family, their in-laws. They were not about to cause drama or to do anything. They were going to leave the law to take its course. And indeed, the law took its course. Fortunate was brought before the courts and she was being charged with culpable homicide, or is it manslaughter? But anyway, what I can assure you is she was found guilty and she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So in sentencing, the judge said that Fortunate's behavior had brought the death of Mutasa. He said that Fortunate had no business seeing the message that was on Mutasa's phone. If that message was meant for Fortunate, Mutasa would have told her. But the fact that he did not tell her, it means that it was not for her consumption and she had no business asking about it. He said, he actually cited a subsection where he said that he was actually infringing on his rights, and that is the right to privacy. Okay, so apparently he went to town about this. Women and men, when they get married, they still have to maintain their privacy. A man has no business snooping through a woman's phone. A woman has no business snooping through her husband's phone either. And if they obtain any sort of information illegally from the other's phone, that information cannot be used in court because you obtained it illegally. Nobody allowed you to touch that phone and to go through it and retrieve that information. You were also breaking the law by going into that phone. Yeah. So I actually didn't know like that thing had become a law. I thought like people were still debating about it, like should spouses be allowed to snoop through their spouses' phones? Should we say there is privacy? There shouldn't be like invasion of privacy. You can't go through my phone, you're invading my privacy. I thought it was still some bill being debated on. But no, it's actually a law, and it's been a law for a long time because this thing was 2016. So this thing has been a law for like forever, right? So anyway, yeah, the judge went to town about this and he emphasized that being a husband and wife does not give anybody the legal right to go through the other's phone unless they are allowed to do so. Without my permission, you cannot go through my phone. If you do, you are breaking the law. Did you know? I keep getting educated. I keep getting like light bulbs all over me. Like, huh? Really? So I could go to jail for that? So anyway, she was given 10 years in prison and the judge suspended 2 for 5 on the condition that she doesn't commit the same crime. Okay, and she was sentenced in the year, I think, 2017 or 2016. And then she was given 10 years and 2 were suspended. That meant she was left with what, 8 years. And if that was in oh my word, sorry, if that was in 2000 and if that was in 2016, she's probably almost coming out, right? Yeah. But my take from all this is, do we really have to go through people's phones? Or do we need to have a transparency? Do we need a law against it? Or do we need to have an agreement as partners, as husband and wife? Do we need to have our own agreement? Do we really need a law? And the second thing that keeps bugging me really is, if there was nothing bad about that text, why did he not show it to her? Did he have to lose his life over a text? And also, why did Fortunate think it was important for her to see this message? I mean, if you really suspect that your husband is cheating, or if he has cheated before and you've been able to find it out, why do you keep digging and digging? Why are you so concerned? If you really feel that you cannot trust him and you cannot stand it, why not just leave? Do we really have to lose lives over this? I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? I honestly feel like she overreacted, and a life didn't have to be lost over a text. Over anything at all, we cannot afford to be losing lives, because, yeah. And it looks like the rate of this domestic violence that is resulting in deaths is actually like just going up and going up. This was 2016, but even to date, we have more cases of people killing each other, of a spouse killing a spouse over infidelity, over $1, over a suspicion, over, I don't know. How far are we willing to go? How far do we have to go for us to realize that violence does not solve anything? How far are we willing to go? And you know, the saddest thing about this Fortunate and Mutasa's case is that this whole thing happened in front of their 8-year-old. She watched her mother kill her father. Now, that's a damaged child right there. That is a damaged child right there, in my opinion. 8. Can she forget that? I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you think she'll be able to forget that? Or that's something that she will have to live with for the rest of her life? That is a day she will continue to relive. Can she ever snap out of it? She cannot unsee what she saw. She cannot unsee it. That's sad. That's really sad. She had to witness all that, and obviously she had to go to the courts and be a witness, probably via camera. But yeah, imagine having to speak against your own mother and realizing that probably what you said contributed to your mother going away for a long time, and you're just a child. I don't know. It's sad. But anyway, yeah. So guys, that's the crime of the day that I wanted to talk about. If you remember very well that picture of a woman in pink, that is the story behind the story. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. If you're an old subscriber, thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. And guys, continue to watch and continue to like, continue to share. Thank you for your support. Remember, guys, to take care of yourselves. Remember, there's COVID out there, and remember to stay away from crime, because if you do crime, you are most likely to do the time. like fortunate. In the meantime, be blessed and be safe. Goodbye.